Commissioners to order. If we could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And for a moment of silence, if we could all stand. Thankfully, we don't have anything that's happened in the past, but I think moving forward, let's hope that the county gets some rain and that the temperatures slow up a little bit, and those that and everybody stays safe through these hot times. Thank you very much. Time is, as most people know, time time is allotted at the end of each meeting for the commissioners to receive comments from the public. I do have a public notice here I'm going to read. It's Code Home Rule Bill number 4-2024, introduced by Ronald H. Fithian, President of the Board of County Commissioners for Kent County, Maryland. It's an act to rescind and replace the Kent County, Maryland official zoning map in its entirety, which is adopted both as a part of and in reference to Chapter 222 Unified Development Ordinance of the Public Local Laws of Kent County, Maryland, also known as the Kent County Land Use Ordinance, to implement the recommendations of the Kent County Planning Commission on proposed revisions to the official zoning map, which are based on the Kent County Planning Commission's review as part of the 2020 to 2024 comprehensive rezoning and update process, and including certain non-codified provisions to address Scrivener's errors, symbology, graphic legibility, and readability, instructions to county staff related to revisions requested by the Critical Area Commission for provisions in the 2024 Land Use Ordinance which directly relate to the zoning map, relationships with buffer modified area maps and FEMA federal floodplain maps, and the effective date related to the required Critical Area Commission review and approval of the zoning map itself, per Maryland Code Natural Resources, as the same may be amended from time to time. This public having been posted and notice of time and place of hearing, and copies have been made available to the public and the press. A public hearing will be held on July the 9th, 2024. We have some consent items, quite a few actually. We have our regular session minutes dated June 11th, 2024. We have our liquor minutes dated June 11th, 2024. We have public hearing minutes dated June 11th, 2024. We have closed session minutes dated June 11th, 2024. We have Puppy Pals 4-H Club raffle, an application for a raffle only for June 28th, 2024. We have Kent County Memorial VFW Post 652 applying for a combined gaming device July 1st to December 31st, 2024. State of Maryland Department of Agriculture, a cooperative agreement. We have Maryland Department of Transportation State Highway Administration, Environmental Operations Division, FY 2025 Earth Data Contract Renewals, Landfill Monitoring, and the Kent County Public Library. FY 2025 wire transfer to a scheduled request, and then Bill Webb from Health Officer for Kent County Health Department, FY 2025 Core Public Health Services Funding Agreement. So I'll entertain a motion for these 11.
I'll make a motion to approve all 11 consent items.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Then we have an application for a special Class C license, Operation Enduring Warrior is applying for beer, wine, and liquor dated August the 3rd, 2024, and Rebuilding Together, Kent County, is applying for a beer, wine, and liquor license for October the 12th, 2024. These are due to the fact that these are alcoholic applications, they're in need of a public hearing. We will look at today, we will allow today to be that public hearing. So anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against either one of these applications, please feel free to do so at this time. Being known, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the special Class C per diem liquor license applications for Operation Enduring Warrior, as well as Rebuilding Together, Kent County.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. First up, we have Miss Jo Manning, which I don't see in the audience. We'll jump down to Dr. Couch, Dr. Karen Couch. She has 3 items for us today. Excuse me?
She keeps telling us she's never coming back. She always comes
This is
back.
it, I swear, this is it.
I thought you were gone.
No, I'm here. Actually, I'm here with Mr. Tom Porter. He brought something to my attention that we needed to bring here, so
Well, welcome.
go ahead.
Good morning, President Fithian and members of the commission. We provided you this morning an attestation form, part of the blueprint for Maryland's future. Every school district in the state of Maryland is required to demonstrate that they've provided a 10% salary increase to teachers between FY20 and FY24. We have done that, which featured a 1% increase in FY20, 0% increase in 21, 0.5% increase in 22, 4.25% increase in FY23, and 4.25% increase in FY24 to get us to the 10% in that span. The state is requiring that we, as a school district, attest to having done that, and that we obtain your signature as well to demonstrate that we fulfilled our responsibility in that way. So we're here this morning to simply request your signature on that attestation form.
Okay. With that, any questions from my colleagues? I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the annual budget certification from the Kent County Public Schools.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you. Really, bye.
We'll see you next week.
I'm not coming back.
No,
There's actually 2 other items on the agenda. If Dr. Couch or Mr. Porter would, have any questions, if they could answer them. The first is the electronic transfer request. This is standard. This is done every year, and this just outlines exactly when the transfers are going to happen. And the second item is we've already done the attestation, so that it is the approving the annual budget certification for Kent County Public Schools.
I'll take the first one first. I'd like to make a motion to approve the FY 2025 wire transfer schedule.
Second.
got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
And we also need a motion to approve the annual budget certification form.
I'll make a motion to approve and sign the Education Article 61009, small d, certification as requested.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Next, we have Lisa Mazingo, Director of Kent Family Center. She's got a couple issues today. Good morning.
Good morning. How's everyone this morning?
Good.
Good. So I just have two quick items for you this morning. The first is our MOU with Discovering Serenity Counseling Services. Kent Family Center has been providing mental health services to families through the MFN grant for the past 4 years. This year, we're with a new provider. We were previously with Striving for Wellness Together. They got a huge grant to work with students in Queen Anne's County, so we were forced to make a change, but sometimes change is really good, and we're really excited about this partnership. Discovering Serenity Counseling Services is located in our building, so they're right upstairs, so it adds a little bit of, we're going to have the same services, but parents can also leave their children in our child development room while they go upstairs if they need to make appointments. So that's an added bonus. But the purpose of this partnership is for families to participate in group therapy, mental health workshops and assessments, individual treatment for parents and children, and staff training. It makes mental health services more accessible for parents who have little ones and may not be able to always get out and attend those appointments, and transportation, that barrier is taken away as well, and just provides another layer of support, and also normalizes accessing of mental health for families. So I'm just requesting a signature on that MOU.
I'll make a motion to approve and sign the memorandum of agreement between Kent Family Center and Discovering Serenity Counseling Services.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The second
Programs that you're doing there.
Thank you. The second item is the MOU with Kent County Public Schools and the Judy Centers. There are 3 Judy Centers this year, 1 in each elementary school, and this is a very valuable partnership that we have. We work very closely with our Judy Centers, and they provide funding for classroom materials, for parent education materials, and resources, and we work together, we collaborate on playgroups and service coordination and things like that. So this agreement is for, I think the previous one was for 2 years, but this one is for 1 year. And it's a combined agreement with Garnett, Galena, and Rock Hall Elementary.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve and sign the agreement between Kent Family Center and the Judy Centers at Henry Highland Garnett, Galena, and Rock Hall Elementary Schools.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Lisa, I have a real quick question
Okay.
about, you said that the previous agreement was for 2 years, and this agreement's only for 1 year. Is there a funding problem, or?
No, I don't believe so. I think it's just the way MSDE did the agreements this year.
Okay,
I'm not aware of any issues.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Rob Tracy, Associate Planner, Maryland Agricultural Land Preservation Foundation, FY 2025 to 2026 with easement rankings. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Rob Tracy. I'm an associate planner with the Department of Planning and Zoning. The MALF program, which is the Maryland Agricultural Land Preservation Foundation, continues to be a popular and successful program in the county. I'm here before you today to ask that you review and approve the proposed rankings for the 25 and 26 year cycle. MALF has moved to a 2-year cycle, and this year they are allowing 16 applications with 5 alternatives. The applications were ranked using our easement prioritization formula. After that ranking was done by myself, I took that to the Agricultural Land Preservation Foundation. They've reviewed the rankings that are before you, and they sent a favorable recommendation. I'm asking this body to approve that. So I'm here before you to ask that the rankings, that you review and approve those rankings. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any questions from my colleagues? Then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the ranked list of applications for the FY 2025-2026 Maryland Agriculture Land Preservation Foundation easement acquisition program.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have Ms. Jillian Coleman, Director of Parks and Recreation, Marva Kumpf, Deputy Director, and Wayne Gilchrist to talk about the garden at Turner's Creek.
King seat. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Sorry we complicated things here a little bit. Yeah. Joking, go ahead.
Intelligence test.
We're here to request partnership with Wayne Gilchrist and Kent County Parks and Rec to revive a garden at Turner's Creek. We're looking to, for Mr. Gilchrist to be able to engage in the gardening tasks like planting, weeding, watering, and harvesting, which will be low cost to the county. And why I say low cost to the county is the only thing we need to supply out there is some water for him at this point. So I think that we can get a storage container and be able to supply him with at least 200 gallons of water. During this process that he will be doing with the garden, it will be an asset to not only the community, because we will be donating to the local food banks all the produce that comes off of the garden. Also, our summer camp kids will be coming out there and participating with this project, along with we will have kids from Kent County Public Schools that will also go out to the site and be able to participate with the garden as well. So it will benefit Kent County as a community as a whole. So Marva, Deputy Director for Kent County Parks and Rec, has been working very hard with Mr. Gilchrist to get this project up and running and moving. In your packet, there is an MOU. We are asking that for permission for you guys to sign the MOU so that we can kind of get things rolling with Mr. Gilchrist and the garden. And then Mr. Gilchrist is here to answer any questions that you guys may have for him.
Have you done a complete background check on Mr. Gilchrist?
Yes.
Have you?
Yeah. Only a few things popped up.
Took the words right out.
Any questions?
Where's it going to be, and do we get keys to the lock for harvest time?
I anticipated one of your questions was, how can we come out and help weed? That would be your first question.
You'll have enough deer to help you weed.
True. Our site was on state land before, for our outdoor school. We did have solar system to water everything. It's been approved at the local level, DNR, but it's been sent to Annapolis where it's set for months.
That's a
So Jill and Marva had an idea that we could have a garden on the Farm Museum site, Kent Museum, because that would have, you would have access to water from the old tenant house there. So we haven't selected the specific site on the Farm Museum site, but it would be within range of maybe a 100-foot hose.
We have.
Oh, we have picked a site?
Yes.
Oh, we picked a site.
Yes.
Okay.
So across from the Kent Museum, kind of in that, what's that categorized as?
So it's the farmland that was previously tilled.
Okay.
So it's going to be the back part of that.
Okay.
I believe
Area
it
that
was
we
in your
walked.
presentation.
Okay.
There was
Okay.
there should have been a map
Right.
that showed exactly where we were going to put it, but it's going to go on the back end of that. And we've already I talked to Mark Dixon from DPW just to make sure that those guys could get back there
Okay.
to bring the water to us. And he was like, yeah, they can pretty much drive around and drop the water off, so.
Good.
Trying to make it convenient for everyone, but try to kind of hide the garden a little bit so it's not easily accessible to the public if they want to come up there and pick their own produce, but.
That would be a real great sunny spot then. You
Yes.
get sun there most of the day. So,
Perfect. Sounds like a great
Any
idea.
questions?
No, I just have a comment regarding Mr. Gilchrist. I just want to publicly commend you once again
oh,
for your leadership and everything that you've done down there to Turner's Creek with your programs.
thank you, John. I have this tractor that needs something to do, so The program this summer with Parks and Rec would be the same one that we had with the school, and that is a learning process for the kids about agroecology. And agroecology is how you can replicate nature's design in your garden as if it was a forest. So it's regenerated without artificial herbicides, fertilizers, and things like that. And we see it through the lens of photosynthesis, which means that we all heard at one point that we're made from stardust. Well, that's actually not a philosophical, poetic saying. It's distant stars that were born, lived, and died before our solar system was formed. And when they exploded, all those new elements like carbon and oxygen and hydrogen and potassium and phosphorus and you name it, formed our solar system and planet Earth. So our sun, this is the agroecology part, our sun synthesizes the sunlight and stardust to make the process of photosynthesis, which gives us life, plants, us, fruits on your table, and regeneration. So that's agroecology through the lens of photosynthesis. We're synthesizing stardust into all the things we need for life. So that's the process that the kids will learn this summer.
I was just explaining that to John.
I think I've got it now. After hearing it twice. Once from Ronnie,
I love you guys. Okay.
Keep up the good work. I'd like to make a motion to approve the request to allow Mr. Wayne Gilchrist to utilize 1 to 2 acres of land at Turner's Creek for gardening, educational, and donation purposes.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Master gardeners help.
What's that?
Master gardeners helped with the school we had for years, and they're going to be out there this summer pulling the weeds with help of county commissioners and teaching the kids about all this. Just wanted to throw that in.
What day are you planning that for?
What day are we planning?
Weeding.
The weeding
The
part.
weeding, what day? I'm
that we're-
checking my calendar right now.
Daily.
Every day.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I'm busy.
Sorry. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Miller. Mr. Jim Miller, Director of Human Resources.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Renee.
Thank you.
Ms. Bonet.
You got
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Renee's here to tell you about our latest request for conditional permission to hire. Actually, I'm going to let Renee tell you about it. She's done all the work on it.
The candidate before us, he has substantial experience in construction. He holds a CDL, and we feel that he would be a good attribute to that department that's been short-staffed for quite some time now.
Any questions?
It looks like you had 4 applications and
We did, yeah.
2 of them declined.
Yeah, so we actually hired one, this will be the second if we move forward. This will be the second one from that list, and the other 2 did decline. Their salaries were too high for us.
I have no questions. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve a conditional offer of employment to the recommended candidate for the motor vehicle or motor equipment operator 2 vacancy.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you.
And it's okay. With permission, I'd like to chat for a minute about the process of bringing positions forward to the commissioners for approval. Last May, I brought up the idea, and there wasn't a motion at the time, but it was suggested that later on that perhaps we come back and talk about the subject again. And if it's okay, I'd like to take a couple of minutes to do that.
Hope so.
Since then, between May of last year and May of this year, we've hired, not counting the dozens of seasonal workers, 44 full-time and part-time regular staff. I bring that up because when we look at our recruitment efforts and our success, we look at it in terms of retention. How many of the people that we bring forward and that you all approve for us to hire turn out to be successful and stay with the county? Of the 44, there's only been one that we've lost that just didn't work out. That's what we refer to as a retention rate of about 98%. Industry-wide, 90% is considered a very good retention rate. The point being is that we're coming to you with really good candidates. Our sourcing, our vetting process, the interview process is resulting in bringing good candidates forward with you, to you all for approval. We also know some months back, you all gave Shelley permission to make decisions on candidates we bring forward to her for paramedics, and that's been very successful as well. I bring it up here today because we continue to run into some timing snags with the commissioners' busy schedules and with occasionally having 2 weeks between meetings. We find ourselves in a position where we have candidates that are waiting 2 and 3 weeks to find out whether or not we can make them a conditional offer, extending the period of time to get them on board and functioning. That creates a burden on the current staff because they're short, can create overtime issues, and we have in the past several months lost a couple of candidates that we would have liked to have brought forward because our timing just took too long and we lost them to other organizations that were as interested in them as we were. I'm not here today with a motion, asking for a motion on the subject, but to bring it forth for your thoughts and consideration. And if it's something that you feel would be worthy of further discussion or even a request for a motion at some point, I would really love to hear your thoughts on the subject.
All right, thank you.
Any questions, comments?
No, not at this time.
Okay. All right, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dan?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a number of items on today's agenda, but before I begin, I wanted to take the opportunity to introduce the new Deputy Director of Public Works, Carrie Klein. She joined us.
Is it Carrie?
Carrie, yes.
Thank you.
Well,
She joined the department last Monday. I'm very excited to have her and looking forward to everything she can bring to the county.
Very good. Welcome to Kent County.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And I will note that it wasn't listed on the agenda, but upon conclusion of the items that are, and as requested by the commissioners, we will provide a comprehensive project status update today as well. Mike Mold is here to give an update on some of the projects he's been working on as well.
Very good.
But to begin, the first item deals with the FY24 surface treatment program. That program was completed a couple weeks ago, and we are requesting approval of a change order and adjustment of some budgets to fund the change order for increased surface treatment. The money that we're requesting be moved is coming from road patching and joint repairs predominantly. And during construction, the areas we had intended to patch or do joint repairs, we added to the surface treatment program. The idea being that this provides a better, more durable, and more efficient manner of making repairs to those roads, as opposed to hand patching large portions. It was determined most efficient to increase the surface treatment. And every year with programs like this, we base the initial contract off of estimated quantities. And if a road is a few inches wider for any stretch, or we need a little thicker section in certain areas, the estimated quantities may increase, they may decrease as well. We saw slight increases on a couple of roads this year. So the total change order is for just under $43,000, which represents a little under 13% of the contract. The money, we're not asking for additional money, just reallocation of money from road patching, joint repairs, as well as some of the remaining balance on the Clark Road culvert project.
Very good. Any questions?
And this money that you're going to be moving around is going to come out of the FY '24.
Correct.
Yes.
You had kind of answered one of my questions. I was wondering if it ever comes on the county's favor. In other words, I mean, you know, you're saying the road's a little bit wider, but what happens when the road's a little bit narrower? I want to make sure that we are on the receipt, you know, if we're going to.
Absolutely. We track installed quantities appropriately.
There's a lot of boats out there in the ocean right now named Change Order.
I'm very familiar. Yes.
I've been on a few.
Sure.
So just, you know, we want to keep an eye on that, just to make sure that we're getting, the taxpayers are getting the bang for their buck, that's all.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the increase to the piggyback contract with American Paving Fabrics Incorporated for surface treatment services of road surface treatment projects in the amount of $42,898.25 under the existing Howard County, Maryland contract number 4400004869.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, the ayes have it.
Thank you. The second item today is another change order. This one, it relates to the diesel fuel contract for use by county roads. We are requesting a total change order of just over $8,000 to the diesel fuel contract with Dixieland Energy. It's no secret that fuel prices have been up in recent months, which caused us to go over what we had estimated for the year in terms of diesel fuel costs on that contract. That said, I do note that there has been a substantial decrease in total diesel fuel usage as compared to FY '23, over $100,000 less in '24. So I do believe that they have been economical with their use, but the contract had a limit, which we expect to exceed this month. So this would be a change order to capture that, that exceedance.
Any questions? Entertain a motion.
And this 8,000 is coming from within
Yes, I'm sorry.
the existing budget.
Yes, it is.
I'll make a motion to approve the increase to the contract with Dixieland Energy LLC for diesel fuel purchases in the amount of $8,376 under the existing contract dated June 27th, 2023.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, the ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The third item today is a contract for the relining of the Wesley Chapel Pump Station's wet well. This was planned work and will be funded via our available ARPA funds as intended. And the contract itself is with Pleasance Construction Incorporated, who has an existing contract with Frederick County, Maryland, we intend to piggyback off of. The cost for the work is in line with our estimate, and we'll work expeditiously to have that wet well lining completed. So the total cost is $36,700, and again, that is to be paid from ARPA funding.
The ARPA money.
Yes.
Any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with Pleasance Construction Incorporated dated June 13th, 2024 in the amount of $36,700 for the wet well lining at Wesley Chapel Pump Station as a piggyback of Frederick County, Maryland Contract Service Agreement number 23-336 manhole and wet well Rehabilitation dated 4/13/23 and fund project available through the ARPA funds.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you. Next, this item deals with our water wastewater division. The specific action requested from the commissioners would be approval to reallocate funds, just under $8,500 worth of funds from the water wastewater division's benefits budget into our operating budget. This money, it relates to a letter recently received from the Maryland Department of Environment regarding violations that occurred at the Kennedyville wastewater treatment plant. That sounds really bad. Violations never sound good, I should say. There were 4 days of violation total between January 1st, 2023 and March 31st, 2024. We had 4 days of violations. MDE in their letter did acknowledge that the county has taken all appropriate corrective actions, made necessary equipment repairs, created a standard operating procedure, done additional samplings, and confirmed no adverse effects to the system or residents connected to these violations. There are various penalties that could be assessed at MDE's discretion. However, they have made an offer of $8,457 associated with that. That money is not available within the current department's operating budget to pay the fine. So we are requesting reallocation of benefit funds in order to pay that fine.
Any questions?
Guess I'm just wondering, what exactly were the violations for?
Sure. They dealt with nitrogen ammonia, total amount of nitrogen ammonia in the, this is all in the effluent flow from the plant. There were a couple very minor phosphorus violations and the biochemical oxygen demand, the 5-day biochemical oxygen demand exceeding by decimals, but exceeding nonetheless.
Any questions?
No, I'm good.
I'll make a motion to approve the reallocation of $8,457 from water and wastewater benefits budget to water and wastewater operating budget.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Dan, just, you're saying that these relatively minor violations, was that due to what? Was that due to the treatment facility not taking out as much as it, of the? And then when we send the samples away, they come back higher than they should have?
Yes. Yeah, I believe at least 2 of these related to equipment failures. There was a July, I think 3 of the 4 I know for a fact related to equipment failures in July and September of 2023. I would need to dig deeper for the remaining, but
Okay,
I was thinking maybe rain had something to do
it
with
could, yes.
very good.
And from what I've read with your attachments here, this type of thing doesn't happen very often.
No. As I mentioned, there was 4 days over a 15-month period, so they are very rare. Obviously, our goal is 0. But as I mentioned, MDE does acknowledge all the actions taken since the violations occurred in order to prevent future. So.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, the next item is a update on roads department. The dump truck that was ordered last year, we, about a week and a half ago, received notice that it is continued to be delayed, and we do not anticipate it to arrive in FY24. Right now, the anticipated date is around mid-fall 2024, so FY25. Because the money is in the FY24 budget currently, my understanding is that that money will when unspent by the end of the fiscal year, go to the fund balance. So we are requesting approval that at the beginning of FY '25, we would recoup the money that went to fund balance back into the roads budget to pay for the truck when it does arrive.
There's nothing additional, we're just moving it from one year to the next.
Exactly.
Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the reallocation of $180,000 from the FY '25 budget fund balance to Roads Division capital budget to fund the purchase of a dump truck ordered in FY '24.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you. And then the final item, I believe at least two commissioners are very familiar with. This is maintenance and clearing of a drainage ditch. The ditch itself runs from the border of Rock Hall's municipal border to Spring Cove Marina. This ditch is in private property. However, through lack of maintenance and nature taking its course, there are several areas of downed trees and clogging in the ditch. It was evaluated by county roads. We estimate it'll take about a 4-person crew, a day to a day and a half, using existing equipment to clear that. There's no funds being requested in association with this item. I just thought it would be appropriate to receive formal approval prior to proceeding with work as it is on county private property. And we will, if approved, we've already been attempting to reach out to the owner of the property. We would have them sign a approval for us to enter their property to perform this work, as well as a release of any liability relating to the county's work.
Now, will we be doing the whole ditch from the part that's in the town as well?
We would be doing from the Rock Hall border to, basically to the river.
Because, and I'm all for it, I mean, obviously the ditch needs some work done to it, but did you walk that with us one time?
Yes.
The little walkway that I was talking about had a pipe under it, we point that out?
Yes.
Culverts, yeah.
Yes.
I think we would be foolish if we didn't remove that as well.
Okay.
We might talk to that landowner about it, but every time, and when I was with the town, every time there was a problem there, it started right there, that the ditch needs cleaning, I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
denying that, but that culvert is a problem as well. It blocks itself up. Most of that ditch, as you well know, is in the woods. Every year, there's a ton of leaves that falls down and they get clogged up, and that's one of the problems that I've witnessed in my time. So I would, besides cleaning the rest of the ditch out, I'd also think it'd be a good idea to remove that. And if they want to build something so they can get to the other side, that's fine, but I think that's an area of concern as well.
Sure, and I don't see a problem with that. That would likely increase the total duration from a day and a half to maybe 2 days.
Gotcha.
And I don't think it would require additional staff. And obviously, if that's on private property, we would enter a similar agreement with that property owner as well.
Very good. Then I entertain a motion.
I think you'll find that culvert pipe is on Mrs. Rennie's property as well.
Oh, okay.
So, I've also had a conversation with the mayor of Rock Hall, who has spoken to his public works folks, and he has instructed them to assist the county with this project. Historically, I don't think the county's in the business of going on private property to take care of issues like this, but this particular issue, as we've talked about, it affects the entire town. All that stormwater drains to this one ditch for the most part from certain parts of town. And as a result, the residents both in the town and county experience stormwater overflow into their yards. So I feel it needs to be done. I appreciate your efforts in meeting us down there to take a look at it. And I think if you coordinate with the town of Rock Hall, together we can achieve this in a very swift fashion, I would think. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the use of county staff and equipment to clear and maintain a drainage ditch that runs through private property known as MAP 50, parcel 123, on a one-time basis.
Second. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do appreciate and agree with your comment. Yes, this is the end of a long ditch that has a very large drainage area. So it definitely affects more than the immediate property we're working. It's
It
a
does.
pipe that's restricted at
It
the end,
affects,
so
it
everything
affects a lot of
upstream.
our citizens.
Absolutely.
In a negative way if it doesn't drain properly.
Yes. So with that, I'll ask if Mike Moles could join us up here as well.
I can scooch.
It's good there.
Good morning.
Morning, Michael.
So Mike has a number of wastewater project updates from what he's been working on, and then I can provide some additional county updates as well.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. The one project, first project is the Village at Kennedyville, the sanitary sewer improvements. This is related to pump station number 2. It's under design. The design's at 90%. We responded to MD comments on the permit application for construction on May 28th. There's an SHA utility permit that's under review by the state because we'll be moving that pump station across the road up into the development. And we've also requested a construction cost opinion from the engineer with the design almost to completion, to get an idea where we are with the budget on that. With regard to the Wharton sludge press replacement, we've received draft specifications for the purchase of the press equipment on June 14th. It's under review with procurement to put out a bid for it in early July. This is for purchasing the press itself, getting that in, so like we did with the clarifocculator, have that in hand, and then we can do the construction bid once with that equipment, that we know what the contractor knows exactly what he's putting in. Fairleigh water plant upgrades, work assignment number 3 was approved with the engineer on June 4th in the amount of $13,540 to prepare bid plans and specification for the construction bids. It's scheduled to make submittal to the county in about 60 days. This is the valves, the filter they were replacing. They were originally air-driven, and we'll be switching them to electric. And then there's some corroded piping that's been put in for your budget. You have ARPA money set aside for that. VT SCADA upgrades. If you remember, we've done a lot of our pump stations have been switched over now that fiber is available, where they can report emergent pumps out or conditions of the pump stations throughout the county through the fiber, through a network where they can be monitored by utility staff with a tablet or a computer. So there's funds that were put in the budget for continuing to increase the number of systems, so we get 100% of them covered. And we'll coordinate that with fiber companies and IT to continue doing that. One of the projects we're working on now is the Wharton wastewater plant SCADA upgrade that we're continuing working on getting those facilities updated. So it's just a continuation of a project we did before. Water wastewater treatment plant upgrades and repairs. One of the projects, Tolchester wastewater treatment plant control valve replacement. Don't have any update on that at this time. The Tolchester wastewater treatment plant UV replacement. That's the system that kills coliform bacteria and everything before it gets the discharge from the wastewater plant. Working with the original manufacturer of the unit, Trojan, to update the system, because we've had difficulties getting replacement parts. Years ago, we apparently switched to a different type of supplier, and that supplier is no longer providing those parts. So we're going back to the original manufacturer and get that reconverted back to it originally what it was. And the ability to get a variety of different bulb replacements we'll be able to do because the patent is expired on the original design. So that'll help with that. Wharton wastewater treatment plant control wiring replacement. Working with an electrical contractor right now to develop a proposal for bidding that out. To try to put, basically, we're trying to put together a process where the contractor can go in and put new control wiring in, and then be able to go and disconnect and reconnect different processes, equipment, without affecting the plant. So we have to put a proposal together so the contractor that comes in and does the work can do it without interfering with the operation of the plant. Problem we have there was that the cables are just stuffed into some of the conduits, and we've had different failures as a result of the power to these one. And there's a couple times probably where we suspect that the motor that went bad wasn't necessarily due to the motor, it was due to a short in the electrical cables that went through. So when they built the plant, they put additional conduits in, and we'll be using those conduits to run the new wire. That's another project that was ARPA money for. The water tank inspection improvements, the inspector that we hired has completed the site visits, with the exception of the Eadsville tank. They couldn't do the internal inspection due to an osprey nesting issue on the top. So they'll come back and finish that up. What they do is get up there, go inside, and they use a drone, put the drone in the tank, and do the inspection of the interior to see if there's any problems in painting that may need to be had. But
Do we know of any problems? Or you haven't gotten a report yet?
no, well, for Eadsville, we haven't.
Okay.
He's got
Are the
to
other
come back
ones
and do
okay?
that. Yeah, because he couldn't go up and disturb
Are the other ones okay?
the birds. Well, we should be getting the reports.
End of this week,
Right.
yes.
Yeah, and we'll go through those. What we did, if you may remember, Ronnie, is we used to have a company that would come in every year, and they would just have a schedule for painting the tanks. The problem is they weren't giving us an inspection report. They just come in and, after so many years, slap more paint on it. It wasn't the best way to be going about doing that. And so when we had the tanks painted, we canceled the contract in its last year. And at this time, we're using an inspection company that has ability to measure metal thicknesses and the degree of painting and make recommendations for safety improvements in that. They're a third-party kind of thing, so they don't have any game to play in terms of the painting. They're just helping make us get the tanks inspected properly, and then we can make the decision when they should be painted. So that's something, a different way we're going to go about doing that. The well redevelopment and pump station pump replacements, the Fairleigh Water Treatment Plant well number 2 rehabilitation is starting this week, and we'll be scheduling well number 3 after the work on number 2 is completed. This is renovating, pulling the pump, cleaning out the well, scrubbing it to be able to break up the iron buildup and corrosion that gets inside those well casings. So we have the ability to supply the yield that we need to supply water for everyone.
So there's iron in that water?
Yes, there is.
Imagine that.
And other stuff. Operator apprenticeship program, I wanted to note that. We've notified Maryland Rural Water of the county's intent to participate in the program. We'll be putting together a formal application in July once the budget documents are out, so we can calculate the cost on that. A lot of what that program provides is funding for half of the cost of the training programs that they do. So they're pleased with that. And we've got the Millington wastewater treatment plant design. The design engineer will be giving an update on the design project at the July 9th meeting, commissioners meeting. And last month I met with Joe Manning on June 4th to coordinate the efforts between the county and the town, as well as keeping the town informed in the progress of the project. There also was some discussion of the senior center. We've been working with them on that project proceeding. Plans, I think, have been submitted out for review from the project. I believe it's up to 52 units now.
Nice.
That they're looking at. There's an issue with the sewer line that we're helping Joe Manning work through so that they can tie into that line. We also had a meeting with Russ Richardson and other developers on June 11th to discuss the project coordination. I believe it was a very good meeting. The developers were happy to hear a lot of the discussion and the movement on the project. We've reviewed the proposed wastewater treatment plant location, which has been provided, included in the discussion on addressing information requests from home builders. This was a subject that came up where they're talking to some of these builders, home builders, and the builders want to get an idea what kind of allocation fees should be paid, the upfront costs that have to go into that, the timing, what standards are there for the water and sewer lines that they have to put in as part of the development. So what we proposed is to do several things utilizing the $250,000 in grant money that's being transferred over. One is to hire a company that can come and evaluate our allocation fees. They haven't been updated in several years. And the company we found was the one that did the original assessment. And they provided a proposal. It's a New Gen Strategies to evaluate our allocation fees and based on projections of what kind of construction costs, build that in and come up with a suggested allocation fee, which we could adjust once we have final construction done and everything like that. But that allows these builders to know what kind of costs up front that they've got to put up for it.
As well as potentially reserve it in advance.
Yes. So we would coordinate with the town of Millington in terms of the water use and everything. But that'll give some decisions in terms of allocation fees. Right now, our allocation fee applies countywide, no matter where they're building a house. With this particular project, there may be something where we may have a special district that might be needed for a different allocation fee because of the project. All part of a big discussion, be able to provide developer funding for building this project. The proposed study from New Gen is for $44,720. That would be coming back and asking for approval on that. That was an important part that Russ had asked for. Other thing that is evidence of continuing commitment of the county to the project. What we're proposing there is working on purchase of the wastewater treatment plant site. So we're back and forth with Mr. Richardson, who owns the property where the plant would be located on, in terms of developing a price. We would probably look at getting an estimate of what that would be from a realtor or something like that, and work to negotiate that. Along that line, the access to the plant so that it coordinates with the future development there is something that we're looking at to provide a better access, a temporary one, until the roads are put in to access the plant. So I think making that purchase and request is going to give a good signal to some of these developers of the seriousness of the county looking to see this project through. So we'll be working on pulling that together. One of the other things I mentioned too was the developers wanting to know what kind of standards that have to be utilized for the installation of the collection system and the water system. Years ago, we had proposed to try to develop standards for Kent County. After all the years that the county's had water systems, we've never really had a standards for any of our water sewer system. So what we've talked about with Joe at Millington is they would be interested in adopting our standards so that there's consistency between the county system and the Millington systems as this new construction occurs with these developments. So we went back to the firm that had done the original proposal for it, and we didn't, in our budget at the time, we didn't have the money to do it. So we're looking at recommending hiring McCrone Engineering. The cost for that standards, developing those two standards, is $92,090, and we'd be working with them on pulling all that together. But that will, for the first time, give the county standards for construction, inspection of this type of stuff, that the developers really need to know what they're doing, what the cost is going to be to them. So one of the things associated...
Are there any other neighboring counties that we know of that have these standards already?
Oh, yeah, there's some out there, and we go through those. I've collected this stuff over the years.
Well, that's what I'm assuming. I mean,
Yeah.
so why could we talk to some of our neighboring counties and their governments and just, I mean, I'm just trying to save $92,000 here. Can we say, hey, Queen Anne's, I'm just picking a county. Yours is great, it's perfect for what we need, boom.
Well, that's part of what we do is we look at the different counties in terms of what different standards, because everybody does things
Well, I
different.
understand.
And then find the one that fits best for us and what we want to do. But that's part of what that cost is going into.
Well, okay, but I'm trying to save that cost.
One of the things is the drawings and the details that go with it that have to be created for that, which we don't have the capability of doing.
Is all this new development up there, is it all going to be gravity fed or is it the grinder pump?
No, we don't want grinder pumps. The approach that's going to be done is to do gravity fed.
Yeah.
Now, it'll still probably need a pump station in some places to lift it, to get it to the plant.
Right.
And doing that. So that's what we're working on that. But again, the funding for the standards would be utilizing that $250,000 grant before we lose that money.
Yes, I wanted to clarify the allocation fee study, the standards, and we're lining up another 2 projects that would use the KRM Economic Development Funds. We're not bringing those contracts to you today for approval. Once we have them finalized from the various consultants, we'll be meeting with Jamie Williams and ensuring that they do fall under the umbrella of that economic development funding. And we would have that sorted out before anything was brought to you for approval. But
The third one that I was looking at was concern they have about the availability of public water service. Obviously, the project we've been dealing with is to provide wastewater capacity for the development in this area because that's the more difficult one to get. But these developers are asking about water capacity too. So recommendation there was to utilize KCI, which has had experience already working with the town of Millington's water system to prepare a water feasibility study to look at what improvements may need to be done there. And that can be built into the allocation fee. That would help the town. The town had looked into the thing in terms of cost, but didn't have the funding for it. But with this funding that we have from economic development, that would do it. That pulls everything together as far as the developers. It doesn't leave the question of, is there going to be enough water capacity for me to do this development? We can go through that. I don't know if you remember, Ron, years ago when the water system went in, there was talk about 2 storage tanks, the one out there by Howard Johnson's Road. They ended up not doing that one and making the one by the school a little bit larger. The town still owns that site where that tank could be done, and would be very important at that end of the water system. With the tank there, would provide good fire protection and pressure for the development going in there. So that's one of the things this study would look at to see what would need to be done out there. But again, it's pulling all this stuff together to look at the package that the developers would be having questions about. I would note too, with the water and sewer standards that we have, one of the things that gives the standards the ability to be required is a sewer use ordinance. We put one together.
What kind of, I'm sorry.
A sewer use ordinance.
Okay.
Again, what the county does not have and should have. I'd like to see that moved ahead. We've submitted that a couple of years ago for approval. I'd like to get that one done. That does provide us a lot of other protection for people putting stuff in the sewer that they shouldn't do and things like that. So that'll be part of the process here to develop these standards that can be applied for development. One of the other questions came up with our meeting with them was the availability of any existing water and sewer connections. Originally, there was talk about putting a model home in. If a developer comes in, he builds a home, could they get permits for some of these homes? And I think it went to 50 for starters. So there was a variety of homes that we're looking at, but we got them down to, I think, a more reasonable amount. But one of the things we have to address is what capacity we have right now that could be used for some of these model home units, or we have the issue with the senior housing project Originally, that was 18 units. Now they're looking at the 52. We've got the warehouse, which was looking for 34 unit EDUs. They've submitted a letter asking for confirmation of that availability so that they can do an amendment to the water and sewer plan. We're going to come up short in trying to do all that stuff with our existing capacity. That proposed new connections that we have set aside from the water feasibility study are, that currently aren't connected. There's about 8 residential lots in the town of Millington, infill areas that somebody could build a house on and connect. In the county, there are 24 unconnected homes, basically Chesterfield Forest, and 33 vacant lots. Altogether, that represents about 16,250 gallons per day of capacity that's sitting there that the county maybe want to look at either reclaiming that, which there's a process for doing that once we get to a certain amount of capacity, or giving some kind of a temporary waiver until the new plant comes online so that those EDUs can be put towards some of this development that we've got. So we'll be coming back to you to discuss options for doing that so that these projects can keep moving forward. Any questions about that?
No, but I do think that, I mean, it sounds like to me that Millington, the senior housing project could eat up most of or all of that.
No, what we did was we looked at.
You figure that, factor the new number in.
Well, when I factored it in, we're coming up with 33,800 gallons per day of proposed connection. But we only have 30,500, so we're off a little bit. But if you want to add additional potential connections, i.e. model homes or startups or things like that, we come up a little short. That's where we got to start looking at some of these other places where we've set that capacity aside, but for years, it's never been used. Possibly borrow that and move that towards projects that are going to connect and doing that. So it's a discussion I think we need to look at to be able to keep moving some of this project forward is what we want to try to do. So I wanted to bring that up for you because we'll be revisiting that. Okay. We're still waiting for a response from MDE for the discharge permit conditions. That's going to be an important part of pulling the project together as far as an NPDES permit application. Typically, it is MDE takes some time to go through that process. We have a good idea already from discussions with them what it's supposed to be. We just need something firm in a letter. This is what we got. And I've already mentioned we'll need to arrange for an appraisal of the wastewater treatment plant site to get an idea what kind of an offer we would make. And there are funds in the economic development grant that we got for purchase of the land. So, any other questions on Millington that you had?
No, what was the date you said KCI will be here to talk to us?
The 9th.
The 9th.
2 weeks.
But you have had some meetings with some of the developers, Mr. Richardson and them up there.
Yeah, we had, I can't remember the other two because there's a new guy.
Yes.
And then, but the 3 main ones that we were talking about were both there. So it was a good meeting going over the thing. Joe Manning attended, as well as, I think we covered everybody.
Their design teams as
Yeah,
well.
Kevin Sheeran.
It was a pretty comprehensive and very productive meeting, yes.
The idea is to keep the communication going so they're not wondering what's happening. And we've had some.
And that part of it's important because I know the developers are they're not anxious to start too much until they see a shovel go in the ground and they know that treatment plant is going to be built. I mean, they're not going to invest a lot of money in there until they see something positive happen there.
Exactly. And that's what these things that I've mentioned are things that give them the confidence that the county is continuing to move forward as best they can to get this project going. All right. The last one I had was the Nicholson Groundwater Treatment Facility. We did submit the approval of the letter of intent to USDA on the 13th of June. The USDA is continuing to review the bid documentation for approval to award if it does proceed. The original deadline for the contract with Bearing Construction as far as holding the bid was June 30th. They have responded that they are willing to extend the bid day pricing conditional on a signed letter of intent to award by or before July 17th and a contract award by July 31st. The intent to award is to authorize the contractor to start acquiring his bonds and insurances and notifying the vendors that he'll be working with that the project is proceeding. So keep that in mind. That's all I have at this point.
And I will say from my perspective, Mike has been a very valuable asset since his return, and we've made substantial progress on a number of projects I would not have been able to handle, in addition to all the other duties. So his efforts are appreciated.
And I'd like to add that Dan and I are still talking to MDE about a meeting to talk about the Nicholson groundwater treatment plant. So far, we have not had any progress. Jonathan from Greenwell is going to be helping me out this week, trying to arrange something. But in addition, the MDE secretary would like to come visit to talk about projects generally on November 1st. So if you could check your calendars. I mean, obviously, that's too late for the Nicholson discussion, but this would be a separate meeting. The Nicholson discussion really needs to happen prior to July 17th, when we would be required to sign a letter of intent to the contractor.
I would suggest you relay that information to MDE.
We have been, they
And
have.
did you or Dan or Mike get a call from Delegate Jacobs?
No.
He may be reaching out to you to get the name of who you've been in contact with, so maybe he can give them a call.
That would be great.
Some additional projects that are in progress at Public Works. As you know, the EMS station was advertised on June 14th with a pre-bid meeting scheduled for July 10th and the bid opening on July 30th. So we'd be looking at a contract award in October and anticipate a 6-month contract for that project. We are generating a good amount of interest for that. I've had a number of...
And I apologize, I missed what you said in the beginning.
The EMS station, the new EMS station project.
I got you,
Yep,
okay,
yep.
all right. So and go ahead, but you were saying we would start construction around October?
I think that would be reasonable. We would look at an award of contract in August and a 6-month project duration. So there would be, from August, September, some submittals and design work that needs to occur for the detailed building and site design. That's included in the contract. But yes, that would be a reasonable timeline, in my opinion.
Okay.
We have at least 10 different interested parties have requested or been sent bid packages. And I have engaged with the town of Chestertown Planning and Zoning Department because the detention center property is located within town limits to go over this, where we are with the project, the intended design, location of the building, and ensure we don't have any planning or zoning hangups as we design. I've also coordinated with the SHA, the State Highway Authority, for additional access. We intend to do an exit-only access directly onto Flatland Road. And I've begun discussion about getting that access permitted. Bayside Landing, we are preparing to advertise that project in July with an award sometime mid to late August. We met with the Public Landings Board last night and talked about appropriate timelines because obviously that project will have an impact to the boaters at Bayside Landing. We'd be looking at a start of construction at the beginning of November for that project. Additionally, with the Public Landing Board, we discussed last year we had received a grant for a preliminary engineering study for the Betterton boat ramp. and Public Landing. I expect that to begin design progress in the next couple months. Various members of Betterton Public came to the meeting last night and gave us some initial input and what they're looking for from it. The biggest piece seems to be extending the jetty adjacent to the landing, or to the boat ramp, extending that out further and possibly turning it to provide some more coverage for the boat ramp. There is a pretty common occurrence of high winds, rough water, and transportation of sediment to that boat ramp, making it difficult for boaters. So that, across the board, everyone mentioned as what they were hoping out of it. So that will begin this summer. That design will begin this summer, and upon completion of design, we would then look for additional funding sources to fund the project resulting from it. The maintenance department completed all repairs at the detention center offices. I believe the only outstanding item is they were awaiting some furniture that they ordered, but everything else, the floors, the walls, et cetera, has been completed. And our new deputy director, Carrie, will be digging in this summer to a number of park-related projects, including the FY25 Project Open Space, which is redoing the basketball courts at Wharton Park, adding lighting and fencing, repaving those basketball courts. And in addition to that, our remaining LPPI projects, which are 100% funded by the state. Those include redoing the Wharton bathrooms, field improvements to various fields at Wharton and Toll Parks. Specifically at Orem, there would be new dugouts, in addition to new backstops and fencing, possibly redoing the infield of Orem Field as well. We did receive, or we have not yet received, but we had a contractor perform infrared inspections to the roofs of all county buildings, stemming from our evaluation of the library. And we are expecting that within the next 2 weeks. The results of their infrared testing, they need to finish at the detention center. But we expect that, and that will provide a great view of the current status of each county building's roof. And we could start to look at if there are potential repairs or budgeting or grants needed for longer-term capital projects associated with it. But we've had the evaluations done to see where we are. And starting to get a little bit smaller, but we are working on obtaining proposals for a on-call electrician for the county. It's something we've had in the past that was very beneficial. And there's a number of smaller things I include in my weekly reports, but those are the highlights this month. If commissioners have any questions about what we've discussed or any additional items I didn't bring up, I'd be happy to answer.
Well, we certainly don't have a lack of anything to do. So, I mean, we've got a lot going on, and it's good to see some of it moving forward, especially with getting the ARPA money spent on time. I think it's good to hear those projects moving forward.
Great.
Any other questions, gentlemen?
No, sir. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
County Administrator.
Okay, I only have one action item on the agenda, but we are going to push this to the July 9th agenda. And the reason for that is all 4 counties had reviewed the agreement to extend the life of Midshore Regional Landfill 2 while there was still airspace. But in the Caroline County meeting this morning, they have a few edits that they would like to make to the contract. So they need to be reviewed and will return on July 9th to all 4 of the counties' agendas.
Okay.
I will say overall, all the big items have been negotiated and agreed upon. So this is, there are a few minorly substantive, but mostly just edits that they're requesting.
They're not deal breakers
That's
in
what I
your
was getting,
opinion.
right, okay.
No. Wordsmithing.
Okay.
But I think it needs to be reviewed by all of the counties' legal departments to make sure that we don't have any unintended consequences to any of the edits. And then I have two report outs. First, there was a letter of commitment in support of the Maryland Family Network's FY25 application. This is a letter attesting to the county's intention to operate a family support center with the network during the period covered by the grant. So it's just basically housekeeping. And in addition, Washington College had requested a letter of support for a planning grant for from the National Science Foundation, which was signed and sent out.
Great. Okay. Now we have, moving on, we have our Kent Alcohol and Tobacco Enforcement. Ms. Bonnie Pearsall.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Early afternoon.
Yeah.
This is just a report out. I completed the second half of tobacco compliance checks. I did compliance checks on 27 establishments. 25 out of those establishments were compliant. I had 2 that were non-compliant. Citations were issued to both non-compliant establishments requiring fines to be paid. Both of the establishments have paid the fine issued through those citations. The non-compliant establishments will need to be re-inspected 30 to 60 days from the date of their infraction. And the letters and green card certificates for the establishments that were compliant are attached for your review. And that's all I have.
Any questions of Ms. Pearsall?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
very
Have a great
much.
day.
I don't know if we want to revisit the Town of Millington request, or if you'd like to push that to the July 9th agenda. Ms. Manning has not joined us today. And this has to do with the tax ditch issue, and she was requesting about $15,000. So she did submit the letter that was requested.
I think it's a long time between now and July 9th. I don't know how soon they're planning on moving forward with the drainage issue.
So basically,
It has been reduced to 7,500.
correct, right. What they're looking for is funding for Phase 1, which is a total of $45,100, which would, what they want to do is apply for a search grant with USDA, which could fund $30,000. So they need to secure funding for about $15,100.
And that's, that half of it coming from us and half from them.
And they're requesting basically half come from us and half come from the town. With this tax ditch, this is a tax district. They do get collections from the residents, and we collect that and we hold it in an account. And right now, in that account is about $7,500, so I don't know if the intention, the town's portion would be to tap into that fund, or if the town is out of their general fund, bless you. The intention is to pay for $7,500. I don't have the answer to that, but I was hoping Ms. Manning would be here.
Then without all the answers, it might be just better to postpone this conversation until they can be here to explain it.
But haven't the taxpayers already paid to have this done?
So that's supposed to be for the maintenance of the ditch, that money that's sitting in that account. I don't know if that's the intention from the town, is to tap into that fund or not. That money is collected for maintenance.
How bad is the problem currently? Do we know?
Really, we don't know. I think it's just been an ongoing thing. I don't think that there's a crushing, urgent need to, because all this is a planning grant anyway, and I have no idea even how long it takes to get a search grant approved with USDA. That's not an overnight project.
But we do have a letter now signed.
Dan, do you have anything?
I would note, to Shelley's point, that the money is set aside for maintenance. The contract in question is a design contract, so I don't know if that is perfectly analogous. It is a evaluation and improvement design. So
have a letter signed by the mayor now.
We do, the mayor and council.
So we'll just wait and have her come in.
We'll see if she's available July 9th.
Table until July 9th.
I think it's best they will. And don't forget my Tilechester project. All right, anything else? Shelley, from you?
I have nothing further for you unless you have a question for me. We have a closed session on the agenda, and that'll be the final action item.
Okay. Then this is our time, we've got to this is the time for public comment or media review. Anyone in the audience would like to speak to the commissioners, feel free to come up.
Nancy Robson. I'm a master gardener and a Bay Wise certifier. And we were just informed that the Kent County Master Gardener Bay Wise certifiers, as of last Monday, we were informed that the 1st of July, we would not be able to do anything in Kent County because of the way the funding had worked. My question to the panel from University of Maryland who informed us of this was what's needed? What's the bottom line to at least get us around so we can think more clearly about how we can do this in a more sustainable way? And it was $20,000 and change. I do actually have a number. But I wanted to just bring to you some information because I think that a lot of people think of the Master Gardeners as a garden club, and we're not. And so this is what they call the Master Gardener Handbook. It is not my view of a handbook.
That's more than a handbook.
It is. And in order to get a Master Gardener certification, we're required to know this. We study, we pay for our own education, we study this, and then we have to take a test on it and pass it with more than 70%. This I brought you, and this is a list of what we do in county and how we benefit the county. These are copies of a petition that circulated both at the farmer's market at the booth, which, as far as we know, as of July 1st, we're not allowed to have anymore. The booth got 172 signatures, and I took some home, and I had stuff I had to do, but I got 14 more, just in that short period of time. I have 2 letters of support, one from the head of the University of Maryland Extension, Bill Hubbard, and this from John Carroll, Mayor of Galena, where I live. And he has not only said very nice things about what we do for them, but also that the town, he, as a mayor, he would like to help support this if he needs to. So I've come to just ask you all to reconsider what has been allocated so far to the extension, which includes 4-H and ag and Master Gardeners.
Well, let me, first of all, thank you for coming in, and second of all, let you know that we have never discussed this issue to start with, so I don't know how. We obviously haven't we've never turned down anything.
Really?
This is the first, we've even, when Shelley sent us a text in the last few days, that there was an issue with the Master Gardener. I sat there and thought, I don't remember talking about the Master Gardener. I remember the lady that, her name escapes me now, but Michael Harvey's wife at one time.
Oh, Sabine.
Excuse me?
Sabine Harvey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Had a garden out to the middle school. And we funded that years back.
Yep.
And we have never discussed this. I don't remember, and I don't think we did. This has never been brought to our attention, so we didn't turn anything down. We just it just never come before us.
Well, we didn't know about it either. Unfortunately, I don't know how all that transpired, and I appreciate knowing that. However, we were given a PowerPoint last Monday, and I brought a copy of that along with a copy of some of the numbers that we were given. And if I can leave all that with you all, please, so that we can maybe discuss this, and I'm hoping that Paul Rickert, who has 5 counties under his administrative jurisdiction, that he will in fact be here on the agenda on the 9th of July to discuss
He
it.
has requested to be on the July
Okay,
9th
great.
agenda, and he's going to
That'll
bring
make
this
it-
issue forward.
That'll make it much easier for us because.
To think about it,
then we'll
sure.
know what's going on but we did not
Oh, I
agree
believe
to
you, Ron.
not fund you.
I'm with you, I believe you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Okay.
And it-
To be
so it's-
perfectly honest, I found out about this from a friend who saw it on Facebook,
Uh-huh.
that the commissioners did not fund this particular.
It's hard to have misinformation
And-
floating around, isn't it?
and,
Yes.
I'm like, we never talked about this.
No.
Was it
Okay.
Mr. Rickard's job to bring it before us? Is that how it usually gets here?
As far as I know, this is, to be honest, it's a little bit beyond my remit, because what I do is I go out to people's properties and I do, like, that looks like a great idea, and that maybe we could change.
So if memory serves me, and Dr. Rickert will be able to expand upon this, but a number of years ago, when Sabine retired, I believe there was a request to take that position from a .8 FTE to a full FTE. And it was during the pandemic, and there were not funds available. And that's the last time the county has discussed that particular program.
I remember talking to Sabine years ago about this project, but I can't remember having any discussions in the last 2 or 3 years.
Wow, wow.
Correct.
I mean, you were funded last year?
Apparently, yeah, as I say, I don't have anything to do with the funds. I mean, we are total volunteers, but we're trained, and we're required to put in 20 hours every year of volunteer work and 10 more hours of continuing education, so we know what we're talking about.
Well, let's see if we can't get to the bottom of it on you say the 9th of.
On the 9th.
The 9th
On
of
the
July.
9th, that would be great. Can I leave you this
Sure, in the
information?
meantime, we can review this.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
and be
good.
informed.
Really appreciate it very much, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Here.
Sorry you had to sit through the whole day.
Well,
here.
it's
I mean,
interesting, it's been a long time since I've done that, Ron. I mean, we did this for 5 years over in DC, so yeah, this is, it's like home.
Good. All
So
right.
thanks so much, appreciate your time.
Thank you. Okay, now we have anyone else, I'm sorry, before we move on, anyone else that wants to address the commissioners? If not, I know we have a closed session, so I need to entertain a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session under the Annotated Code of Maryland General Provisions, Article 3-305B, 1, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals, and to discuss public security. If the public body determines that the public discussion would constitute a risk to public, or to the public security, including the deployment of fire, police services and staff, and the development and implementation of emergency plans. What we intend to discuss, the topic is compensation, evaluation, and performance concerning an employee and the restructuring of daily operations of a safety facility.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say